Hi everyone. So for my Global Perspectives assignment, I interviewed Julie von Groningen. She is originally from Switzerland, and she first came to America 5 years ago to do a year as a foreign exchange student, and then she actually lived with me for that year. So she then returned to Switzerland to finish her last year of high school, and then she moved to Holland where she attended college. During this time, though, she has traveled much in order to train in different spots for her Ironman competitions. And so she actually has returned to the US to live here for about a year and a half, almost 2 years, for training for the World Championships, which will be in October in Hawaii. She will then go back to Holland to finish her studies and then move back again to the US to continue her training. So that was a short introduction about her. So now we'll get to the good stuff about the pop culture of Switzerland. So some popular items in Switzerland, obviously two big foods, would be Swiss chocolate and cheese. Fun fact though, Kit Kats and Toblerones are actually from Switzerland. So these two foods are staples in Switzerland. Julie even told me about how you can go up to the mountains to where some cheese is made and actually take a bath in it. And it's apparently really good for your skin. So some popular sports, it would obviously be skiing, whether that's cross country or just regular skiing, and then field hockey. Because Switzerland has so many mountains, it's easy for them to practice and even just do those activities on the weekend. And then we also talked about then about how in each country or part of the world, everyone has something that they're really good at because of the terrain or the resources that they have to practice that sport. One difference though in sports that we talked about would be sports in college, which was how she said that, and I quote in her words, there are not all these crazy competitions just for college games, because there, if you want to participate in a college, in a sport in college or in high school, you have to find a club or a different place to do it at. It's not connected with the school. So when we talked about stars in Switzerland, whether it be TV, music, or sports, Julie said that there wasn't a lot. Um, the obvious choice that we came up with was Roger Federer, the tennis star. And so in TV, she said that there aren't really many stars there either because they only have about 2 Swiss TV channels. The rest of the TV shows in Switzerland are all American TV shows, actually. And so they're just translated to Swiss German, and that's all the shows that they have. She said in her words that Hollywood is just too great of a power for the Swiss TV networks to even compete with. So the next things we talked about would be fashion, music, and politics. So in Switzerland, she said that they even have a different political system than even from the rest of Europe. They vote on singular items and not just parties in general, so it's different than even here. But she did say that the past election that we had was a huge deal and a spectacle even over there with newspapers, printings, and all sorts of things. In music, she said that there isn't really a Swiss music culture. There maybe is a few stars, but they aren't really known outside of Switzerland. She said maybe in Germany or some other surrounding countries they may be vaguely known, but they would be only known in Switzerland, and they're still not that big. For most of the part, they always listen to American music, and that's a big thing. So that we have in common, because I remember when she first came over, she was saying that, oh, I remember this song, oh, I know this song. And that surprised me at first, but she said she still listens to some Swiss German music or stuff like that, mostly because of her grandparents listening to it, but for the most part it's still a lot of American music, and that's very popular over there. And then the thing that would be interesting to me is that her point that fashion is globalized now. So I asked her about fashion trends and things like that in Switzerland, because I knew it was a little bit different when she first came over here and lived for like the year with me. Um, but she said when she came to the US 5 years ago that she was really excited because there was all sorts of new clothes and new stores and things that she didn't have at home. So things that would be a little bit different, you know. But then um, she came back to Europe and Switzerland and was traveling around, and then she realized that slowly and surely the stores from the US had come over and they had opened up there. And so then she was kind of sad because all the special stores that she had from the US that she was like always excited to go and get, that they were just there, and it's like the same fashion now. And so for her, she's like, it lost that specialness and stuff because instead of it just being in the US, now it's everywhere and now everyone's wearing like the same stuff. But she did say that obviously you can have your own individual style, and that would be something that makes it unique in your own different style. So then we ended up talking about food again, and then she said that food honestly is something that is learned. So it could be popular in your culture, but it also could be learned from what you eat and how you grow up and just what your parents feed you and stuff like that. So, but then we talked about the different eating times in different cultures. So one thing like in Switzerland it's very common to have an early dinner, whereas in she said like Spain per se that they eat very late. Um, and then we talked about in America, she said they have the biggest portions I have ever seen. But so she was really surprised about when she came over how big the portions were, and that's just something she like attributes to America. And then she talked about how like even now with her roommates in the US they're from different countries still, and she said they all have different tastes and different portion size for different meals. So it would be like lunch for Switzerland is the main meal, so it's very big. But other people have really big dinners, or some people have really big breakfasts. And she said even the people she lives with has like the like most different tastes and stuff like that. Then we also talked about how like food, yes, is like a big staple and it could be popular in your culture, but like she said you get the best Italian food in Italy and you get like the best cheese and chocolate in Switzerland and you get the best like Mexican food in Mexico, like so those things are obviously going to be staples and popular in that culture. So then we ended up talking about holidays because she brought up a point about it being a big like part of cultures. And then she brought up one thing I forgot was like Christmas time and how it was just a little bit different in Switzerland and for her growing up. So one thing they focus on is the advent calendar. And I remember it's such a huge thing for them. Like we have it here in America, but it is huge for them because like they all go all out, and they even like her mom even sent me like this handmade like advent calendar thing to hang, and then they like filled it with gifts for me for every day. And so it's just a huge thing, and it's a huge part of their Christmas time. And then it's going to sound weird, but they have these things called Black Peters, and this is what it looks like. It's kind of really scary. But it is actually a Dutch tradition, and her mom is Dutch, so that is really where she learned it and kind of grew up with it. Um, but it's like Santa's elves, kind of, in like America terms. But they're actually shying away from it because they realize like the cultural, like, different, like the way it's looked upon and stuff like that. They realize that it's not appropriate now in this time and setting. So she said it'll actually be interesting to see how that like popular thing is going to like go away, and then what are they going to do to replace it. So culture altogether, we decided that, or like we talked about how that she has shared culture from her mom since her mom is Dutch, and then how she's also traveled and experienced a lot, and so that she has different like things and different cultural experiences from all around. Then she brought up a point to me is that American pop culture, she said, is like a big mix up of other cultures but not really our own. So she doesn't really think that we have like a set culture. And then she's also really excited to see that the views in culture have changed and like the acceptance of others and the opening of opinions. And so that is all I have.